that stuff out of the way. Boom, looks like we're live, guys. Give it a second to come up to speed here. I'm Dieter Melhorn. If you're just dropping in or you're watching a recorded version of this, welcome to the show. We're going to give it a second here to go live. Decided to do this kind of last minute tonight. I'm going to double check on my phone to make sure everything's working. And then once y'all can see me, throw me a thumbs up. That way we can check out audio, make sure everything's working good. Everybody can hear me. I've got my phone up. Looks like it's live. Audio showing up. All that fun stuff. Go to here. We'll give everybody a minute to go in here. Hopefully you got the notification. Boom. P City Smitty, Jerry Russell, everybody apparently can hear me. Yep, looks like I'm on there now. So everything's working. We'll give everybody a few minutes to get in here. I hope everybody's having a good Saturday night, wherever you're at in the country. Let's see here if I can get my comments up to work and see them. Boom, got that up and working. When I do the live show, it's just always kind of we just kind of stumble and figure it out as we go here. So hadn't been on live in a while. Been going to the beach. Been working on the YouTube stuff. Still no work in the real world for me. Any of y'all that know anything about my world, and we do a lot of sports stuff in the video production world, that stuff's still gone. So still not working, but trying to knock some stuff out on YouTube, trying to crank out a bunch of content for you guys. And it's been about 3 a week. We had to get back to 2 a week there for a little bit just to catch up on some other stuff. But yeah, been trying to kill it. The one thing I have been slack on is my podcast. And part of that is a little bit of frustration with the quality of the podcast. Me talking, I like it better when I got some other people. So I need to get some other people on the podcast. And some of that's been scheduling conflicts, doing this other stuff. So bottom line is it's my fault. I hadn't done it. And I've got to work to make that better. But that's right. It's not Saturday night. It's Friday night. I've lost track of time. Who was that? Tamika Craig said that. Thank you. Thank you, Sunshine, for bringing me back to reality. It is Friday, isn't it? Listen, when you're on COVID-cation, that's what happens, dude. I lose track of what day it is still. So any of y'all that are confused, hopefully everybody makes it in here. Tamika, thank you for that. That's very good. I appreciate that. Let's see what the heck's going on here. Whole bunch of people coming in tonight. Nice little crowd. Good little pack of people. Doyle Moore says, we are practically neighbors. I'm over here in McAdenville. New subscriber. And see, I find that amazing. By the way, love McAdenville. Not far away at all. That's just, I can probably stand outside, scream real loud, and you'll hear me. But it's amazing how many people find me that I think should have found me a long time ago. And that's really interesting that you're that close. So welcome to the channel. There's probably a lot of new people in here, and I want to welcome you guys that are new subscribers. I try to do these things live a little more often, but I've been kind of slack. But if you're new, I've had a real blow up in subscribers in the past few weeks. So thank you if you're a subscriber and you're new. I try to do some of these sometime. I'm going to try to do some from the water after we get past the spawn a little bit. I'm going to try doing some night fishing out there. We'll try to do some real Saturday night live ones when it's actually Saturday night. But yeah, that's kind of what I try to do and try to answer some questions. We're going to go over some things. I'll let you know real quick. We're going to talk about some fishing reels. One that I've been using forever, everybody asks about, and another one that's going to replace it. And we're going to talk about what else? Some stuff with spooling up some stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about catfish spawn. And what else did I mention in there? Some other things. We'll take some questions too. I'll try to catch them here that are coming through the feed. So the first thing is fishing right now. I have been running some guide trips lately, and the fishing's been pretty decent, and that's amazing that because we're into the first week of June now, solid into it. Usually this is when stuff starts to tank. And it's like bad for everything. I'm noticing a lot of fish that are getting caught that are beat up, tore up, scarred up. Channel cats are really dark. All the hormones are cranked up in them. Usually they're kind of past that by now, but they're cranked up. I caught some males today that had bloody sores on them from the fighting. So But the fishing's pretty good. That's what's kind of weird with it. I think fish are spawning. I don't know what's going on. We've had a weird year with temperatures, with water flow, flooding, all that kind of stuff. So fish are still biting. We're still catching them. And they've got a tournament tomorrow. I haven't caught a big fish. I had one that was 40-some pounds, a couple that were in the 40-pound range week before last, which was about the time. What typically happens is you catch good fish during that May period, that first part of May into about the second, third week, and then you're like hero on top of the world. Fishing's great. Man, I got them dialed in. And then about Memorial Day, boom, light switch flips. It hasn't totally flipped, but it's not exactly, I don't know, it's good fishing. It's good fishing, but the bigger fish are starting to disappear. So that's kind of my take on that. So, but I'm continuing to fish. I've got a guide trip Monday, running one, I think, Sunday, and we'll be out there catching them. Done a pretty good job of finding fish. Not always the super duper monster fish, but still able to find them. But it's getting harder and harder to find them. And I'm sure some of you guys can chime in the chat as far as what's going on in your part of the country. Stuff doesn't always happen the same everywhere. And I've heard that from down like on Santee Cooper. It's gotten a lot tougher. Typically Santee Cooper spawn hardcore will start about a week before us, 2 weeks before us, somewhere in there. They're a little bit warmer water. So yeah, it is what it is. It's fishing, and you fish when you can, and you try to catch them when you can, and that's all you can do. So that's the way it is. Another thing I was going to talk about was I got a new reel in today. Y'all know that I have been using, I'll pull it out here, these Slimecat rods since the conference. Got a couple of them out there, Slimecat rods. They're slime green. They're obvious in any of my newer videos that I've been trying them out. 7'6", very similar. I'm going to do a little review on them here shortly just to talk about them. I got 2 of them I've been running, and I have been running them with loose reels. Y'all have seen these reels. I try not to break something. I've run these reels. I'm going to put the rod down before I break something. I got one sitting right here. I've run these reels for a long time. You've seen them. They sent me some right after my channel started. Good reels. I added some tape to this spool to keep it from going crazy, and I just knocked it off. I added these power handles. Sorry, here, I got the tape on there. I added these power handles. Let me tell you about the power handles, okay? These normally come with the typical paddle handles, double handle thing like an Abu Garcia does. I added these. They're really cool. They feel really good in your hand. I mean, you feel like you're bringing in wicked tuna, okay? I mean, it just feels good. Problem is, if you notice, there's not a counterweight on this side. These things may not be designed for these reels. I don't know. I saw them on Amazon or somewhere. They look super sexy. They are super sexy. But there's no counterweight right here. So what happens is, when you go to cast this thing, if that reel is in that position, and you cast it, see what just happened? You got it there. You got it in that top position. I just push the button in. I got to cast it. Boom. It wants to sling over and knocks your reel into gear. So they're kind of a pain to use. You have to develop a technique to where I put it on the bottom when you cast. And another technique is to hold the button down when you cast. And another thing is to hold your finger on here when you cast. So it's kind of awkward. Bottom line is, sadly, I think I'm going to have to figure out something either to put a counterweight on this. It is tapped. It's got a little hole there. But it wants to throw into gear when you really... If you don't throw it hard, you're okay. If you're really trying to chunk it really hard, it wants to go in there. The other thing is to, instead of casting like you would normally, like this, straight back, is I throw it sideways. And it's not that awkward, actually, but I throw it sideways and it doesn't flip into gear. So... But reels working great. They're still working after 3 years. If you buy these reels, hundreds of people have bought these things on my website. I've got Amazon links to them. Hundreds of people have bought them. They seem to be working great, and they're great reels. I'll keep using them. I'll put them somewhere. By the way, if you're looking for them, go to my webpage, DieterMelhornFishing.com. It's got links to all my stuff on there. The podcast, the YouTube channel, the fishing gear, and now it's got links to my guide servers, DieterMelhornFishing.com. There's my selfless plug for me. My whole point is, these are being replaced on these Slimecat rods with, ding, look at that, I think these are sexier. I think these are sexier because they match the rods, okay? I like the handle on this, but that's super sexy. We'll talk about the reel some more in a minute, but I got one on the rod here. I haven't even spooled them up yet. Just got them today. And listen, I'm going to admit, I'm a sucker for anything anodized aluminum, okay? This anodized red, I love it. I'm a sucker for it. You give me some anodized color on your reel seat and then a reel that's the same color, I'm a sucker for it. They're sexy. So anyway, these are made by the same people, Slimecat Rods. I'll show you the name here. Throw the website up. You can check them out. They're the ones that make the rods and the ones that make the reels. So they got some other stuff too. I was complaining because somebody was complaining that the reels didn't match. So y'all can check that out. But they're very similar reels, to be honest, to the Lew's. I know all of this stuff, every reel is made in China. It don't matter what you buy. Even I think most of the Abu Garcia stuff is still made in China. They look very similar build. The width is very close. There's a few differences there, if you can see in the frame. And I'll do a detailed video on this. They're very similar. You got brake controls on both sides. They just look very similar. There's another pin over here that is not on this one. But they look very similar. The bracket that holds the reel on, very close. But this one's sexy because it's anodized green. So I'm going to be spooling it up tonight. Going to be fishing it with it tomorrow. This one does come with a power handle. And this power handle, if you'll notice, has that counterweight on it. So you can see there's a difference there in those two. And I got a feeling this one's going to cast a lot better. So I'll be trying them out. You'll be seeing them on the boat. I'll be using them. We'll be putting them through the works. I'll give you a little review. I'm going to check out the drag and all that kind of stuff on them and see how they work and see how all that stuff plays out. But they'll be back out on the water tomorrow. So see what else we got going on. Cornhusker Catfishing, is that the power handle they came with? Yes, that is the power handle. That power handle came on it. Right there is the way they arrived, except they were in a box. But yeah, so that's what you're getting when you get them. I'm not sure what the price point is on it. Don't really know anything. I hadn't even looked up any information on the drag or anything else. If y'all are interested, just go check them out, Slimecat Rods. And yeah, you can see if that's something for you. And if you like them, rods have been performing great. By the way, Palmetto Cats is in the house, the shirt. Nice shirt there. I finally got one in the show here. Still got to get him his shirt. Still do not know where the shirt is. That I've torn every car apart. Just so y'all know, I tried to ship him one of my shirts. And I remembered having the address written on my dry erase board. And I remembered dropping it off with the postal girl at our post office. Because she is from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And we had the conversation and jokingly said, oh, this is going to your hometown. That's why I asked you about the address, because I had erased it off the board, said that one's out the door, it's gone. And still don't know what happened to it. It's out there in space. Somewhere somebody's going to show up with a Dieter Melhorn fishing show on. Probably be on a riot and be in the middle of CNN, and there'll be my shirt there in the middle of TV. So that's probably that'll be my legacy. But I'll get you a shirt. So I forgot to bring one to the beach when I was there last week. So anyway, y'all check out Slimecats. He's been doing something live. Or, I'm sorry, Palmetto Cats, Slimecats. I've got them all mixed up. Palmetto Cats has been doing something live, and I forget what night it is. I get the notification for it. Palmetto, tell them in the chat when your live show comes on, and you're probably a lot more predictable than I am, because I try to do mine either on Friday or Saturday night. I did this one on Saturday night, even though it's Friday. Yeah, thanks. That's good. So, where were we? That's my lucky shirt, guaranteed to get skunked. I've actually caught fish every time I've worn it, even shark fishing. So it does work. See what else we got in here if there's any questions. Georgia Mountain Television. You need a cable show in North Georgia. I know who you are. And yeah, that's that content is on next week's list of stuff to get together on that cable show. Georgia Mountain Television, I will actually be airing some content on that cable network up there. Let them know if y'all are in Georgia, North Georgia. I think it's in the Rome Mountain area. I don't know all the good stuff yet. That's why I'm not promoting it. Let them know where exactly that's at and what cities it serves and all that in the chat. That way, if we've got some people from Georgia in there, they'll know. It'll give me a good excuse to go down to Clarks Hill and maybe Lake Lanier and some of those places and go fishing. So, anyway. Any tips for Merle's Inlet? Wooden plant ask. Hire a guide. That's my best advice. Listen, I get in there and junk fish. I fish for sharks. I fish for trout when they're easy to catch. Inglis Glover taught me how to catch trout down there. Now it's not an easy time to catch them. And I catch drum when they're stupid and redfish when they're stupid. And flounder I hate. I hate fishing for flounder. It's the biggest struggle in the world. I get frustrated and quit, even though it's very similar to drifting for catfish. Honestly, my tip down there is to fish on a falling tide. Near the last hour of the tide, around some of those little creeks that dump out of some of the marsh and grass, and we always catch stuff at those little ditches that run out. We catch red drum, we catch redfish, we'll catch flounder in there, we'll catch whiting, catch all kinds of stuff. Not a good fisherman in Merle's Inlet, but if I can get outside the jetties and go shark fishing, I will catch toothy suckers, and we caught some toothy suckers this week. We only got outside one day. It was pretty bad while we were there, but I took one of my son's friends and his dad with us on a little last-minute guide trip in the ocean, and we drifted and caught a bunch of sharp-nosed, Atlantic sharp-nosed sharks. That's what you'll usually catch down there, especially fishing off the piers. And Grayson and I did hook into one of the most acrobatic spinner sharks we've ever hooked into. It came out of the water, I think, 6 times. We've got some good video of it. It'll be in a future video. That was actually inside the jetties, right next to the jetty wall. Great fish. Stayed hooked up for about 2 minutes, and then it popped the hook. Didn't cut anything. It was amazingly acrobatic coming out of the water, about 6 feet, probably on the upper end of what we're going to get into down there. And it was great, great, great. It'll be fun. We'll put it into a video at some point. My saltwater stuff doesn't do good on my channel, to be perfectly honest. At least not at this point in my evolution as a YouTube channel. My catfishing content is what has the traction and what you guys pretty much watch, and that's understandable. I think as the channel grows, it gets bigger and get more and more subscribers, more of that, some of that saltwater stuff that I do, the striper fishing, crappie fishing, whatever you want to call them, fishing, we'll get more and more traction, more and more people will watch it. But right now, it's known for catfish, and I appreciate you guys that are subscribing to the channel and following the channel and watching it. Let's just see here what we got. That was a big old ramble there. I fished the Red River, and the big alligator gar are biting now. Those alligator gar are massive. I wish, sort of, kinda, we have some around here. I think they're in southern Georgia, maybe. I think is about the closest that there are any alligator gar to where we're at. Let's see here. Palmetto, I do any good this morning? I did do good this morning. I think I had about a dozen fish scattered. Nothing, not as good a size as I had on my guide trip yesterday. Yesterday was a really phenomenal day, and I kept telling them from about the end of the first hour, although because the first hour I think we caught 8 fish, and out of 8 of them, 6 of them were teeners. So it was, I kept telling them it ain't like this every day, and it kept going. I think we caught 22 fish. Phenomenal day. I've been blessed, thank you, Lord, with some good guide trips and some good luck on getting on fish, especially yesterday, because I think I told them we're going to catch, 6 to 8 fish is about what we're going to do, and just kind of what it is when we pick off a good one, and boom. It was phenomenal. Today was decent. I mean, I caught some fish, not as many, and not as many of those mid-sized fish, but still decent fishing considering we're into the spawning time. So Ryan Swink says, I love catching sharks and my kids like eating them. I've actually got shark nuggets in the refrigerator. We kept one of the sharp nose and I cleaned it and I chunk it up into little nuggets and fry them, and I've still got some left. Matter of fact, I may eat some when I get off of here, and they're actually good in gumbo also. And also in a low country boil, you can drop them in there and cook them very quickly. We like eating them. If any of y'all are interested in eating shark, cooking shark, eating a shark. They're actually good. It's a chicken-like consistency. It doesn't taste like chicken. It doesn't really have a fishy taste. It's a very mild taste. The biggest thing is you got to kill them right away, and it's a bloody mess. When we decide to keep one, we get it over the live well in the back, and basically have to wrangle it. That's why we don't really kill big ones, because they're hard to do this too. But you have to take a knife into their gills, slit their gills, slit the throat, drain all the blood out of them as quick as you can. It makes for great chum. That's why I do it into the live well, so it dumps it back into the water so we can catch more of them. We don't keep a lot. We usually keep small ones, 3, maybe 4 feet, and then get it on ice right away. So the reason for that is the shark urinates through its skin, and if you let it sit there and flail away until it dies, all those processes keep going on. So the quicker you need to kill it immediately, and literally it's just bleeding out. I know it's not the greatest thing as you sit there and eat your dinner at home, but it's the reality of the fishing world that we live in. And they're good to eat. I actually enjoy eating them. We'll keep usually one per trip to the beach, not every time we go out, but I release them like I do catfish. I have a lot of respect for sharks. I know there's a lot of them, but I like catching them, so I like to put my little babies back. Somebody just threw in Michael with a super chat. Much appreciated. Keep up the good work is the message. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much. All the super chat money goes to keeping the channel running, paying for the bandwidth to do all this stuff. So much appreciated there, man. I appreciate it. I keep on trying. We're trying to jack up the quality and do it better and better. I've had a lot of conversations with fishing and stuff. And y'all check his channel out if you hadn't already. You probably have, because he's got way more subscribers than I do. But he does a lot of DIY fishing stuff. Fishing hacks, do-it-yourself stuff, that kind of stuff. And he's actually here in Gastonia, where I'm at in North Carolina. And we talk a lot, and that's one of the things he's told me. He's like, separate yourself, jack up the quality. And that's what I'm trying to do. I put out a video just recently when I hit 25,000 subscribers. And it was a thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And like I said in that video, the goal is to create the best catfishing content out there, period. And may not be the biggest channel, may not have the most subscribers, but by grannies, I'm going to crank out the best content I can, and hopefully you guys like it, and find it entertaining, educational, and boom, that's all you can do. So appreciate that. Where were we? That was a rant, wasn't it? Yeah, it's crazy how good the fish are still biting. Yes, Palmetto, it is interesting. I don't know how long it's going to last. It should come to a screeching halt at any time. So, James, yourself for dinner today. I will keep watching. James, thanks for being a new subscriber and coming by the channel. If you weren't part of the first 25,000, I thank you for being part of the next 25,000. Trying to get the stuff out there. Cornhusker Catfishing. I'm amazed how much the blues and big channels are still going. I'm used to switching over to flatheads and walleye for a bit now. Honestly, my mentality in the past has typically been come June, I either go striper fishing and downline for them in the lower parts of the lakes that they start to move into, or I go to the coast and go saltwater fishing, or I put up a bunch of videos that are more educational in nature and that kind of stuff. This year I'm still catching fish, so it's just weird. I don't know how much of it is, there's talk that this may be the summer of the spring, like they had, I don't know, 50, 75 years ago, where it basically stayed like spring all year. I don't know that that's going to happen, but it's been a weird year. We've had a lot of rain in the southeast, as probably other parts of the country have. A lot of elevated lakes, dropping the lakes, moving water through, all that kind of stuff. So it probably has an effect somehow. Hopefully it'll be good. It won't mess up, any of the spawning stuff with the fish. Fish are still spawning. They're going and doing their thing. This has been happening to them. It's just a cycle. It's been happening to them forever, long before we were here, and it'll happen long after we're gone. So it's just fishing. You fish when you can. The Carolina Frank White, the Southern Sportsman. Do you do guide work in the Carolinas? Yes, I do, Frank. Go to my website. Check it out, Dieter Melhorn Fishing. There is a link now to the guide work right there with the fishing podcast and the reels and all that stuff. There's a link to the guide stuff I do. I do it basically here on Wiley, Wateree, Norman, just around here in the Catawba chain. So check that out. Send me a message. If you want to do a trip, I do half day and full day deals. And I had some people call about actually doing some crappie trips. I'm not doing them right now, just until some stuff gets stable with the lake. But I'm doing catfish. I mean, doing that. So if you're wanting to learn something, that's what I told a bunch. I had somebody that booked a trip for, I think, next Tuesday. I was just really wanting to learn. They said, I don't really care if we fish. I just want to learn how to do what you're doing. So it's a good way that you can get, it's almost like an on-the-water seminar. So, yeah, if you're interested, check it out. There was Bobby. What kind of rods do you use? Well, as you can see, I've got a smattering of them. The white one, Catch the Fever. Red one, B&M. Green one, Slimecat Rods. So those are the ones that I've got on the boat right now. This is that one's a medium action from Big Cat Fever, Catch the Fever. That one is that a medium? Let's look and see. Let's see what the action is on it. Somebody owns one and they're like, oh, you big dummy, you don't even know what it is. What is that? Medium heavy. That's what I thought. It's a medium heavy. The green slime cats are medium heavy. So there's the ones I'm using. I started out using ugly sticks, just the ugly stick catfish rods. They're a 7-foot rod. I've got tiger rods. We use some tiger rods down at the beach on some of the shark fishing that we were doing. I've used these. These are the only catfish rods that I've used. I've reached out to some other brands about using their rods, trying them out, put them in the spread, offering it up to them, and I haven't heard anything back from them. So there's a lot of good rods out there, a lot of different, they're all going to work. It's like I've said before, there's different little things emotionally that you like about a rod. I like red, but I also like white at night. But I think green looks cool as crap, especially with one of their green reels to go on it. So there's those little emotional things that make a difference in what you go with. And so they'll all work. They'll all catch fish. So I'd rather be striper fishing. You need to do more live fishing. Yes, I do. I do, and I plan to. I'm going to try to do some at night. I think that's probably entertaining for you guys. Thumbs up if that's true. Being out there on a Friday or Saturday night. I can go head to head and compete with live PD whenever they start working again. I guess they may already be working. So, Michael, are your loose SC600s? These are, the loose here are the LXLC60 is what it's called. So that's the ones that these are. It's basically their equivalent. They're kind of in between a 6500 and a 7000, and that's where these Slimecat reels are too, size-wise and everything. I'm going to do a little drag test to see how much drag they got on them. I'd assume they're probably in that 12, 14, 15 pound range is what I'm thinking. So, what is your take on Seaguar fishing line? I've never used it. All I use is Andy for my catfish stuff. I got 30-pound Andy Monster. I mean, I'm sure it's good line. It's a good brand. It's a good name. And I'm sure it'll work if it's something that fits what you're doing, whether you like, high vis line like I do, if you're looking for clear line. It's like I tell people, buy small, it's like this Andy. I've got it on my Amazon affiliate links on my website in the gear section. But it's hard to find right now because getting stuff shipped is a big pain for everybody with everything. It's a side product of the pandemic. So if you got another one, try it. Get a small spool of it. Maybe get a 1/4 pound spool. Try it out. Even a smaller spool. Put it on a reel. Try it out. Try out 2 or 3 of them. I don't think any of the major brands you're going to have an issue with. There's some of the off brands. I had some issues with some of the Bass Pro Shop stuff years ago. That's why I quit using it. Unreasonable stretch in it. But, the major brands, you go with any of the Berkley big game stuff, the line's going to work. Cigar makes great stuff. P-line's another good line. So try out a little bit of it. See if you like it as far as memory, visibility. And, yeah, it's, I think you'll be happy with it. Do you ever fish the lower James River? I usually fish it once in March. My neighbor on my biggest so far, 71 pound. But we catch a lot in the 40, 50 range. Daniel, no, I don't. I'm trying to work on something right now to go up there and shoot a film for somebody, a fishing brand, and I'd like to get up there and fish. It's a shame I don't because it's not that far from me. It's about 5 hours away, and I think that's going to be on the target for this fall, this winter, is to get up there because that fall time, I think like anywhere, you get in that mid-November to January range. I think that is the time to be up there and be catching fish, and I may make a trip up there. So, yeah, We'll see. We'll see. Texas Tiger. Stripers are turning on at Murray. Are they down at the dam already? At the towers? That would be interesting if they were. It seems a little early, but who knows in this world? Probably a lot of that good mid-lake fishing. Ricky Villa says, do more live fishing trips, dude. I will try to do some more of those because I think it's entertaining. I think it does better when I do it toward the evening. That way it gives you guys something to watch and you're not trying to deal with it during the middle of the day. Jack, thanks for just subscribing. I appreciate it. Appreciate it a bunch. I know there's a lot of new people. Some new people may have rolled in. God, we got 115 in here. Wow. I know some new people may have just rolled in here and checked it out, and I appreciate it. Appreciate you checking it out. I'd rather be striper fishing. Say a snapper season is starting. I was supposed to go down to Florida and go fish with a buddy of mine, Todd Sipe, down there in Panama City area, and we were going to leave yesterday afternoon. Would have been down there today. Wouldn't you know it, there's a tropical storm blowing up in the Gulf, and it's going to be like 7 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15 foot seas for like the entire time I would have been there. So we scrubbed it, and we're not going. So I hate that because I was looking forward to it. I think maybe we'll be able to shift something around here and work around some of the guide trips that I'm doing and try to get down there and do some fishing. So used to do some videos on how to cut fish and cook them. Benjamin, I do have one out there on catch, cook, and clean catfish. And did I shoot some stuff? No, I didn't. Because the batteries were dead in the camera. I was going to shoot something on a shark, and I probably should have. And I may go back down there and do that again. So yeah. But I've got one that I shot on cleaning and cooking crappie. So I may get those up. I got a lot of stuff, to be perfectly honest, that I've shot. It's on the computer, and I just haven't had a chance to edit it and put it up yet. I've been a big concentration of stuff on catfish, catfishing, catfish bait, rods, tackle, techniques, and everything right now, because there's always a build up to that this time of the year. People are really, it starts to warm up. You guys in the North, Midwest, where it's cold, it's starting to warm up. You're starting to get out and fish. You're getting interested, and I'm trying to get that content out. But I'm trying to do more of it. I'm trying to do more of it because it's entertaining to people. I would love, and I'd love to get up with some chefs, some cooks, real cooks besides me, those that in grease and fries it, that would prepare some dishes with some catfish that I catch. I think that would be cool. I think some of y'all would be entertained by that and seeing what the heck happens with it. So, Palmetto Cat says, use the same line, 30-pound high vis. Yeah, Andy's hard to beat. It's a good line. It's I like the abrasion resistance of it, and the stiffness of it is something I like. So yeah, it's good line. Let's see what else we got in here. Any other questions? Scrolling through here. By the way, Palmetto Cats, I'm glad I have the shirt. I was going to wear my Hagen Grubbs fishing shirt tonight, and I realized he hasn't sent me one. Yeah, that's why I didn't wear it, Hagen. You didn't send me a Hagen Grubbs fishing shirt. Hey, for all y'all that haven't checked out his channel, Hagen Grubbs Fishing, make sure you check him out. He's got a cool channel. I like his stuff. I like his content. I like he's got a very good lifestyle feel to what he is creating and putting out there. And yeah, it's just a real good taste into the world that he lives in and everything. Stuff's getting better and better. And I hope he remembers me when he's famous. So I hope he remembers to give me a shirt too. I don't even know if he has shirts. I'm sitting here probably going to get him inundated with calls to get shirts. So, Kevin Eads, have you tried the new BCF trolling rod? I have not. The last rods that I have worked with from them is the Striper Stealth rods, and I was using those during Striper season this year. I think a bunch of Striper videos with those. Used them for catfish some, fishing around last year, and that's the last rods I tried. I got these from them, I think, year before last, so I haven't tried any of their trolling rods to see what the deal is with those. I don't know what the big difference would be between that and these. I think these rods work fine for trolling and dragging and drifting. Who knows? There's probably something different with the action. So Let's see here. I've done attempting to go catfishing. I live in Washington. Wait a minute. I caught nothing. Okay, here I am. Now you say Washington. Are you in Washington D.C. or Washington State? Um, One, I was going to say if you're in Washington D.C., it seems like it's crazy there with everything going on. Be careful. Second thing is if you're in Washington State, I was curious what kind of catfish y'all have out there. I would assume channel cats. Uh, why don't you do a collab with Catfish Dave? I've actually had Catfish Dave live on from the Catfish Conference. When was that? Year before last. I did a little sit down with him, and I actually did a drop in on one of his videos a couple years ago. So maybe we can get together when I'm out there. I'd like to get out there sometime soon. Maybe now that some of this COVID stuff is stabilized a little bit, maybe I can get out there. So. What day is it right now? It's just checking. My days are messed up. Fish love me, Peterson. It's Friday. I think it was Tamika reminded me that it's Friday, not Saturday. So if I confuse anyone with the title of this video, I apologize. Andrew, Washington State. What do y'all have up there? Is it channel cats or have they transplanted any blues and flatheads up there? I don't think flatheads would do good up there. But then again, I don't know. I mean, y'all are not. Some of y'all's areas like a rainforest up there around Seattle and some of that area west of there out toward the coast. So who knows? Yeah, give us some feedback. Palmer County Theater, how's the work situation? I know COVID shut you down for a while. It's still shut down. The normal stuff that I do in the more of the sports world, the NASCAR, ESPN kind of stuff, that's gone. The thing we're working on now, we're trying to really expand and diversify a little bit. And actually somebody from here on YouTube that is a builder down in Georgia, has a high-end construction business, is looking to have some marketing and promotional videos done. And he didn't realize what I did. And a lot of people don't realize what I do in the real world. And that's my fault for not promoting and marketing that better. But this isn't really the place for it. But I don't do a good job of it in the real world because... for the longest time, we were kind of locked up doing what we were doing and other stuff would come along. But circle back, we're working on some other stuff, doing some of these promotional videos for companies. Actually working on possibly doing some stuff with some major fishing brands that you may be familiar with in the catfish world to create some higher end content for them for marketing, communication, social media, that kind of stuff. That's what I actually do in the real world. We create real videos. It's and you know, it's different than this world because in this thing I'm running around, you know, with a camera and shooting my own stuff. When we do real TV, it's like a whole team of people doing it, and it's a different world. It's a different. Doing what I do on YouTube is not the same as what I do in the real world, even though it's video. If that makes any sense. And any of you folks that are YouTubers and try to put a channel together, you'll get that and understand what I'm talking about. Because trying to do stuff on your own, or it's tough just when you're a one-man band. So has channels and others that are black. Mike Kesey says Clear Lake, California has channels and others that are black. There's probably, I would assume Clear Lake is clear because it's called Clear Lake. Typically speaking, fish in clear water, all things being equal, will be darker than other fish. Now, fish this time of the year will get dark in muddy water because they're spawning and they're jacked up. But typically speaking, all things being equal, if you take a little blue catfish, and I've done this before when I used to have an aquarium, you catch one, they're gray as can be. You put them in an aquarium at the house, within a few days, they'll be black. I mean, they'll be like my phone. I mean, they just go dark, dark, dark. And I think it's an adaptation to the water, and they just function better, and you know, with that kind of color makeup. So that may be what you're seeing there. Let's see what we got here. Without drilling into the boat. Platinum's asking rod holder suggestion without drilling into the boat. That's tough because I can't. If you have some of the track, that speedy track stuff that some boats have, I think Sea Arcs have it. I'm pretty sure Steve Douglas at Monster Rod Holders makes rod holder brackets that go into that. If you have any of the rocket launchers into the hull that are flush onto like a deck, you can make a bracket for those. I think Fishing and Stuff has a video on that maybe of making something to go in there. But sadly, you got to drill into a boat, and it's hard. The first hole you drill into a new boat, it's really a man needs to do it alone because he'll cry. And when you got that brand new boat and it doesn't even have any stains on it yet, you still got towels down so you don't get dirt and you have to take that drill. You'll weep. A man will weep. He does that alone typically, just away from people so they don't have to see it. So that'd be my only suggestion. I think you got to drill into it. I just bought a Slimecat Rod. Cost me $105.99. Shipping costs a lot. Mr. Mellow, you're exactly right. That is the thing about these rods. It's tough because they're relatively, all of them are pretty, I think all these rods probably cost the same amount of money, within $5. Shipping them is expensive. It's like 20 some dollars, $25. You got the cost of the tube itself, whatever they're putting them in, and then you've got the shipping costs because of the odd size. It costs you a lot of money. That's why what is so great about the Catfish Conference is being able to go there and walk out the door with a fishing rod and not have to worry about paying the shipping on it. Save those guys a lot of money. So, Backroads and Bass, thank you, buddy, for the super chat there. I mostly do bass content, but trying to learn catfishing. Got my Dieter t-shirt. That's a start. Dude, so you did get the shirt. Good. Good. I remember it took forever to ship the thing out. I had you and somebody else written down, and it took forever for me to do it. So I apologize, but you got it. I think y'all got into a bidding war one night in Super Chat and ended up Super Chatting $10,000 or something. So the least I could do was send you a t-shirt after you put that much money in there. So, but no, I appreciate it. It'll be interesting to see if the crossover Backroads and Bass works coming, if you can get people from the bass world and the catfish world. I think the person who's done that better than anybody is Richard Jean, the Fishing Machine, his channel. He's got a lot of crossover content there between crappie fishing, bass fishing, catfish, perch, bluegill, brim. He fishes for all of them and it works real good. I won't ever have any bass content. It's just not my thing. I just don't do it. I'll fish for striped bass. I'll fish for spotted bass. I've got an hour's show of catching spotted bass. But I can catch those in a striper fishing kind of way with live bait and trolling umbrella rigs, that kind of stuff. I'm not a casting crank kind of guy, so anything like that I won't be doing. Nothing wrong with it, but it's a great way to catch catfish bait. Little joke there for the bass people. Actually, in all seriousness, we catch, keep, and kill every spotted bass we can out of Lake Norman because we have so many of them. I've heard that from a lot of my bass fishing buddies. So I catch them, kill them, and cook them and eat them. They actually taste pretty good. Spotted bass, believe it or not. The problem is they've got so many of them in that lake, Lake Norman, and they're all like that big. And it's like having too many crappie in a lake. You got to take them out and get rid of them. So it's crazy, but Backroads and Bass just keeps throwing more money out. And nobody's competing against them. That was more, wear it proudly. Yeah, thanks, dude. Get some slime on it. They look good with slime. These shirts, one thing about wearing these shirts on camera, you get a little bit of slime or something here. It looks like, you got baby food all over your shirt. So I appreciate it. Appreciate the contribution to the channel. And y'all check his channel out, especially if you bass fish. You might be able to learn something there. Kayak Catfishing and P City Smitty. Yeah, Kayak Catfishing is a great channel. He does a great job. That's another thing you won't ever see me doing is kayak fishing. At least not in a big lake. I see that as being another expensive endeavor for me to get into. And if I like it, it would get expensive. It's a whole nother set of stuff that I would have to buy and spend money on. I've got too much stuff already, and I don't want to get into that. But I can see a lot of places where kayaks would come in really handy, especially down at the coast during some of the high tides, getting up some in the grass. I think that would be really, really awesome to do. It's really blown up too. There are so many people kayak fishing now. It is unreal how many of them out there are doing it. So, there's one for bass. What is that? Clear Lake's no nationwide for, yeah. Clear Lake is where they were trying to catch that world record bass, if I'm not mistaken. The one that they seen and it ended up getting caught outside the mouth, and in California that's considered snagged. It's not a legitimate catch. And didn't the guy release it or something because he was doing what was right? And I think they ended up finding the fish dead or something a few days later or something. So yeah, very famous lake for big bass out there because they stock trout in there, if I'm not mistaken. I think they dump in truckloads of rainbow trout, and when they do, like I think that's the same lake. And there's videos of just the bass when they dump them out that pipe going in. It's just blown up with bass and catfish and everything in there, eating them. Pretty cool place. Mike, it was Mike that did it, and he's just thrown in a super chat there. He was, oh yeah, here we go again. He was the one that got into the battle. I'm just going to let you guys fight it out. Everybody in Super Chat can incite it if you want to, and much appreciated for that. I hope you're doing good. Did you get your shirt? That's always my question. Kevin E. said, have you noticed a decrease in perch in Lake Wylie this year? That's an interesting question, and the answer is yes. So far, the spawn should be over with them. In April, I was catching spawning perch on watery, stacked up in the river in some of the deep little holes up there that I know they spawn in, and I was catching them, big ones. So I know the spawn had to have happened in April, which is normal. So I find it interesting that they're not stacked up like they should be. Normally by now, you can catch them really good, double hook rigs on redworm. For some reason they start to hit redworm. I've heard some reports are on the lower end of Lake Wylie. I fished today. I trolled, I think it was 1.4 miles, I think is what it ended up being. I looked on the map afterwards, and I caught one white perch, and it was a small one. So, caught them early in the year, caught them in the winter. They're around. It's just, I don't think we're wiping them out by any means, but yeah, it does seem like there's a difference. Now, I would kind of wait and see what happens here with everything weird with what's going on with fish. Maybe in another few weeks, you'll start seeing them stack up and show up on points all over the lake. But it does seem like there's fewer of them. And, I mean, people catch them, kill them, and eat them and use them for bait. But I don't think we're wiping them out by any means. But it's like I said in the beginning when these things showed up and everybody was saying they're wiping out the crappie. Guess what? Now everybody's saying we got too many crappie in Lake Wylie. There's too many small ones. They got to change the limit, blah, blah, blah. Nature finds a balance when you introduce these invasive species. There's always a big, giant upswing. Everything explodes. Whatever the species is, go nuts. Asian carp, blue catfish, and the James, whatever. But at some point, when they eat up everything that everything wasn't eating before, at some point when there ain't no food left for them, they're not going to reproduce as well. Their spawns are not going to be as great, and it finds a balance. And that may be what's happening in Wylie. They had blown up for years and years. I mean, you could throw a cast in and catch hundreds. It may be they're finding a balance. It may be they've just redistributed and we just ain't on them. So who knows? Who knows what the deal is there? Oh God, y'all are going at it again. Backroads and Bass, thank you again. I hope your super chat funds are deep because this could get crazy. You should do another pork chop video. Dominique, thank you for noticing and watching my pork chop video. That was a last minute walking out the door. I was looking in the fridge. I had fried me a piece of sausage the night before, and I said, it's pork chop. I said, I'm gonna fish with it. I didn't think I'd catch anything. I was actually gonna try to film something else. I haven't watched it. I actually fished with a pork chop, a boneless pork chop, cut it up in some different pieces. Caught fish on it, believe it or not. Caught fish on it, and it worked good. Some people have given me some ideas on some other pieces of pork to try that are more fatty, and I'm gonna do that. I'm kind of waiting for this spawn to get over a little bit and do that once the bite's a little more consistent. So there you go. Thanks for noticing that one. Hey man, it's found your channel and I'm loving it. Hello from Ohio. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it, buddy. Hope everybody's doing good in Ohio. Tell everybody I said hey. Ohio, there's a dog barking. That's my dog outside. Ohio is like average America. It's just like this everything from America. So I love Ohio. It's just a nice America kind of place. Perch don't wipe out the perch don't wipe out the Carolina. Carolina Outdoors, what's up? I see you in here. One question: when you fillet the bluegill for cut bait, do you descale it first? Cody, I will try to descale most fish that I use. You hear the dogs outside barking? I think my wife just came back home. She's in the house. Sorry. I do try to descale for the simple reason that it makes hooking the bait a little bit easier. You don't get the scale on it. That's the only reason I do it. It seems like with some fish, especially perch, when you descale them, it seems like some blood comes to the surface, especially if they were just live and not dead. They were just live and not dead. Did that make sense? If they were alive, if you just killed them and they're not frozen, is what I'm getting at. So yeah, I try to do that mainly for the scales more than anything. If you fish an area with enormous bluegill, would that give you the impression that there are large fish in the area as well? Or is there a lack of larger fish and that's why the blue are so big? Nicholas, that's an interesting question. My guess would be is there's no predators there. Because if you've got a lake, a lot of these places that have these like giant bluegill stocks, that's all they've got in there. But depends on the bluegill. If they're pure, and I'm just talking here and guessing, if they're pure wild natural bluegill and they're super huge, my guess is there's no predators. If they're the genetically enhanced bluegill, they get super big. I've seen people grow those things in like ponds with bass too. So it's about finding a balance in what you're keeping in the bass and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that would be my guess, is that there's probably not a lot of stuff in there eating them. But especially if you got a lot of them. It's one thing if you're catching some good ones here and there, but if you've got a ton of them, those may be the only fish in there. And you've got a gold mine if you do, because those things are fun to catch, especially on some light tackle. So let's see. What's your water temperature now? We are just reached 70s here in Wisconsin. Fish love me pictures. Mid 70s, 75 this morning. Our temperatures are lower, and I think it's because of a lot of the flood water we had in. Probably got up there today, 76, 77, 78. No, I would not move deeper. I think I tried some deep water fishing today, and I caught a fish going on the drop, which kind of surprised me. I don't think you need to go deep. Here's the thing with water temperature, and I've said this before in videos. Fish can tolerate any water temperature that will naturally occur. End of sentence, period. As long as, no wait, there'd be a comma. But before that, the sentence before that would be, the water has to have oxygen. So my point is, if it's 90-degree water and it's oxygenated, the fish will be fine in it. So they're not going to go deeper just because they don't like the comfort. They're uncomfortable. They'll be fine as long as there's food and everything else. I would not be going deeper unless you got fish bedding, nesting deeper. And some of the places that we see what we believe are nest areas, these large fan out areas, the only thing we know that could be creating that is either a gar, and that's because I don't know where gars spawn at, or catfish. These are nests that you can measure on your size scan and structure scan, that some of them are 3 feet across, and you can see fish in them. And I say it's a nest that looks like a crater. I've got a video up about it. I didn't fish any today, but most of those we see are in deeper water. And the reason our thesis is that they're catfish is because some species of catfish is because they are, bass are up near the banks, fairly shallow, brim bluegill are, carp are generally up shallow. You see those things busting up along the grass and everything else where they're doing stuff. So you will see those big fanned out circles in some deeper water. I want to put a diver down there, and this is the time of the year to do it, to see exactly what's in there and see what it is, because I think that's where some of these, I know the literature says, oh, they go into holes under rocks and blah, 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 but when you're in a lake like ours that's over 100 years old, a lot of places are silted in. There's no real standing timber, stumps, that kind of stuff, especially not enough of them for 100,000 catfish to spawn in. So they got to do their business somewhere else. So that's my whole thesis on that. I'd love to get a diver down there at some point and look at it to see what's in there. So I know that was a long, drawn out, different direction from your simple question of should I go deep? No, don't go deep yet. Not deep, deep water. Try that mid-range wherever you're fishing. So I hope that helped you. Thank you. You're going to be able to start camera work for NASCAR soon. Stonefly, I doubt it. Everything that they're doing at the tracks right now is very limited personnel. And even the stuff that I do with the people at NASCAR and the kind of stuff that we do, they're not doing. So it's very limited. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. It's a game-changing event in my life as far as business goes and the business model that I've been working under up till now. So part of that new business model is YouTube. I'm doing more and more of this, as you can tell. And part of it is doing more and more corporate type stuff, marketing for creating videos, promotional videos, advertising videos for medium-sized companies, small companies, a tree company I talked to the other day about creating some content for them, a plumber, fishing tackle companies, all that kind of stuff. So we're shifting stuff around. So yeah, the NASCAR stuff's not going to be happening anytime soon. So there we go. Thanks for asking, though. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your thoughts and prayers. Got a lot of texts and messages from people out there. Appreciate all that stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Chris Souders was nice enough to say something on his channel about it. And y'all make sure you check out Souders' deal. I think it's on Tuesday night. He's got a show that is on something. I don't watch it because I don't have that cable channel because I don't have cable at all. But I watch his show on his channel there. So Souders is on. Y'all throw it in the chat. Tuesday night at, I think he does his Tackle Talk Tuesday at 7 or 8. I can't remember which one it is. So let's see what else we got in here. I got some good questions tonight. And I apologize everybody I missed. I'm sure there's questions in here I missed, and I hate that because I know how it is in the chat. We got 149 people. That's a lot of people watching. So thank y'all for dropping by. And thank you for Fish Love Me for the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for making all these videos during the pandemic. Much appreciated. Ain't got nothing else to do, so I'll make some videos. It's actually, in all seriousness, given me a good chance to really spend some time and jack up the quality of the content and put out more stuff and diversify it from just being on a boat fishing. And I know y'all love the on the boat fishing, but there's also a lot of people that are new to the channel that may have just come in here tonight for the first time. Some of my new subscribers that like the educational content or like the some people call them the history channel of catfishing with some of the pieces I've done on world record fish. I'm trying to do more of those, even some state record stuff. By the way, if you are or know someone that has caught a state record catfish in any state, have them contact me. Some of these people I would like to profile and do their story. I think it would be cool and entertaining to do. So if you know anybody out there that's got a state record, that's caught one, I've reached out to the current world record holder and haven't heard back from him for the blue catfish. The flathead world record holder, couldn't get a hold of him, and the world record holder for the channel catfish is dearly departed. So, but yeah, some of the state records I think would be some cool stories to look into. So if y'all know anybody, have them message me. Go to my website. As I tell everybody, selfless plug here, no shame. Dieter Melhorn Fishing. Check out the website. It's got links to all my stuff on it. DieterMelhornFishing.com for all your fishing needs. That almost sounded like a commercial. See what else we got in here. Let's see. Thanks for your fishing tips, Roger Clore says. Buddy, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. I try to get the information out there. Like I've said before, I've actually taken flack for talking about how to catch fish and where to catch them and all that kind of stuff. And my take on it is, if I make you guys, or at least help in a little way, a better fisherman, to where you can go catch a big giant monster catfish and do it repeatedly, you're going to be much more likely to release those fish alive and let them go. Because the reason most people keep fish is they're so proud and happy to catch a big giant fish, just like I was and just like I did and just like most of you did. And you want to take it home and show it to the neighbors, and eat it, and then you don't really know how to clean it, so you got to say you don't know what to do with it, and it tastes nasty, but you got this thing that you tuck around to show everybody. Because you feel like you'll never ever catch one that big again. And I remember that clear as day, catching the first 14-pounder I caught, and it was like, I'll never catch a fish like this again. But I let it go, and it's going on from there. And my point is, if I can help make you guys to where get to the point where you're confident in catching fish, and you're confident in catching them again and catching them again, you're more likely to be catch and release oriented and good stewards of the resource. Nothing wrong with keeping them to eat. But once you learn how to catch fish consistently, you'll be able to catch plenty of eater size. So that's why I do what I do. And speaking of, got a video coming out in the morning. This one was going to come out later on, but talking about giving out information. I'm actually doing, let's make sure I got the right video I'm putting up tomorrow. Yes. I'm doing and I forget what I titled. I've struggled with the title. I'm basically going to go into Navionics software, and you're going to get to see what I look for when I go to a lake to fish it for the first time. I'm doing it on Lake Gaston, home of the North Carolina state record blue cat. Zach Royce is a fishing guide down there. He's caught 2 state records in that lake. He caught one on Thursday and did another one the next day on Friday. Amazing story there. That record's been eclipsed by another one that I think is 117 pounds. So there's big fish in Lake Gaston. I've never fished it in my life. So what I'm going to do in this video that will be up tomorrow morning is I'm going to go through step by step and show you what I look for when I go to a new lake. And hopefully that will give you some insight into what you can look for, if you're bank fishing, the same stuff will apply. And using this software is, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything. Navionics, I am not sponsored by you. Hint, hint. But I should be with the plug I'm giving your stuff in this video. It'll give you some insight in what I look for. And I'm curious for any of you guys that fish Lake Gaston to watch the video and private message me and let me know if I was even close to hitting on places that produce fish. It's very easy for me. Actually, some of the places, I'm trying to think of some other lakes that I can do it at. I'll probably do it on some lakes in Tennessee. And I'll do it on some lakes that all the stuff around here, I've been fishing it for so long that I kind of forget why I do what I do, but I can show you some stuff that'll make sense and show you some fish caught there. Tennessee's one that I'm still learning, fishing on White Spar, Chickamauga, sun a little bit on there, and Loudon. So, but anyway, watch the video in the morning. If you fish Lake Gaston and know the area well, message me and let me know if I was even close. But it's a good breakdown on what I look for and little things, and it'll help you guys that are bank fishing and stuff. So that was a whole big ramble. Where was I? That was for Roger. That was for why I do what I do. So. See what else we got in here. Nice shirt, Dieter. Yeah, it is a nice shirt there. Little Palmetto Cats. Y'all check that out. He should have filled you in on when his show is up and on. Case out there in a big place I catch, because that's usually all I catch. One will last me for almost a year. I eat the big flatheads. You know, I've never eaten a flathead. I've never eaten a flathead. I'm not going to say never, but I've never eaten a flathead to this point. I've caught little ones. They're so pretty and cute. The little baby ones look like little baby giant ones, and that's all I can see is a giant one. If you got a ton of them where you at and you eat them, that's fine. I can't kill one. I cannot kill one. I don't see that our lakes will ever be to the place where I would kill them. I love flatheads. I just can't do it. It'd be like killing my dog. Even though sometimes I want to choke the dog when he barks a lot. But anyway. Do you catch perch in shallow or deep water? I'm going to Santee Cooper and need to know. Dominique Moss. Go to the end of the diversion canal. Right down from Black's. That area right before it opens up in there where you still got, part of the earthen wall on both sides. There's usually a lot of perch right in there and in around those rocks. That's a good place to catch perch. For some reason, I don't know why they're there. It's where I catch them at. As far as any other lake, honestly, 18 to 20 feet seems to be a magic combination for those things to school up. You can catch them deeper. you know, I've caught them in 35, 40 feet of water, and they'll do that a lot on Norman, especially some of the bigger ones. That 18 to 20 foot range when they are schooled up, I don't know why they're there. That seems to be their stalking range for whatever they're doing. That's when we get those big spaghetti masses of them. And you can catch them in any depth. This time of the year, you're probably better. In wintertime, you catch those things deeper. A lot of times, their patterns will parallel crappie. Depends where you're at. So whatever crappie are doing, pay attention to what they're doing. You're usually going to have perch in those same kind of patterns and depth. So, William, good question. So what do you suggest for someone starting a channel of the outdoors and catfish? Have you been to Sardis Lake, Mississippi? No, I haven't been to that lake. As far as the channel, I'm telling you, the lesson I've learned, if you listen to any experts, you've got to really niche down to what you're doing. It's hard to make a broad ranging outdoor channel work, I think. You're much better off being, I think if somebody hadn't done it, there's a channel out there for bluegill fishing, for just catching bluegill. Like, you know, if you're just doing that. Catfish, you know, it's fairly broad. You know, like kayak catfish is, you know, in the kayak niche. He's narrowed down a little bit there. You know, bank fishing, it's kind of narrowed down, but you know, it's pinch it down as much as you can. It's a lot easier to find an audience that way is the biggest thing. And the other thing is you got to crank out content consistently, at least once a week. And you've got to have the most important thing. You can make the best video in the world, and trust me, anybody out there that's doing any good in this YouTube world will tell you, you can have the best video in the world. But if somebody doesn't look at that thumbnail and go, ooh, what is that? And ooh, look at that title. Boom, I want to watch that. It doesn't matter what you create. If that thumbnail does not get their attention and that title does not entice them to click, they'll never see it. So that is almost more important than your content, sort of, but not really. So that's my advice to you. So some people, and I'll say this, there are some people that will just make it regardless, whatever they have, some magical, captivating, whatever. I think Richard Jean, the fishing machine, he could probably put black screens up and people would watch his stuff. He has a very magnetic and endearing personality about him. And I think that's something that works really, really well. But he's also, you know, he's got great content, he's got great thumbnails, and his titles work. So I think his son edits his stuff for him and does an excellent job with it. So that's my advice. I know that gets sidetracked for a lot of you people who don't really care about any of the YouTube stuff. So if you're going for 40-pound cast, how big do you like your bait? Stephen, I've done some videos on big bait, big fish, and I think that's one of my 5 myths of catfishing, 5 lies of catfishing. Here's what I think about big bait. I think big bait eliminates small fish. First and foremost, that's statement number 1. It eliminates small fish. Big bait puts out more scent. Big catfish don't always eat big bait. Big bait is not how you target big catfish. Had one of the people on my guide trip, we talked about this yesterday in depth. He said, how do you target big catfish with big bait? That's what a lot of people say, okay? And they say, oh, I'm targeting big fish, I'm just using big bait. Well, no, you're not. All you're doing is chunking out a big bait and you're praying that a big fish hits it. You're not targeting big fish by doing that. There are certain times of the year when big fish just will hit smaller baits and are more likely to hit them. The personal best blue, I call it, and I don't know why he hit it, hit a very small piece of bait on Santee Cooper, and he was surrounded by big, huge white perch, and he hit a little bitty fillet off of it. One of the ones I caught a week ago, it was the only small bait I had out, and it ate it. I was trying to run some big baits now to try to catch some flatheads. Point is, if you're targeting big fish, you got to fish where big fish are, either by marking them or by figuring out that all I'm catching is little fish. This ain't where big fish are going to be. So back to your question, if you want to eliminate small fish, I mean, throw out a 2-pound bass. You know, fillet the side off of him, chunk him out there. I would suggest double hooking him because that's a big old chunk of bait and a lot of stuff to get in the way of the hooks. I would use a stinger hook on it, but they'll eat it. A big fish will eat that without a problem. A big fish will eat a 5-pound bass. You know, throw out a 5-pound carp. You know, throw out a 14-inch gizzard shad. You're not honestly going to put out too big of a bait within reason. You start throwing out 2-pound baits, you know, you're not going to catch 3-pound channel cat. Now, you may not get bit. Don't feel bad if you don't get bit. But keep in mind, you may have some big fish that don't want to eat that. And it may be because of, I don't know the biology of fish and what they do, and, you know, do they eat until they're gorged, or, you know, how much of it's a opportunistic feeding, how much of it I'm just going to nibble on something. But I always put out a mix of baits, and you'll see me down the boat. I'll put out big baits, I'll put out small baits, and I'll let the fish decide what they're going to eat. And so that's kind of my take on that. But yeah, if all you want to do is chunk out a big one and not worry about not getting bit, swing for the fence, 2-3-pound bait, put it out there, put a stinger hook in it, and hope a big one is. The one thing is, if that rod folds over, you ain't got no 12-pounder on there. So there you go. That was my take on that. That was a big old rant. I used to bluegill size of ham all the way to 13-pound, up to 13-pound carp. Dang. There you go. Well, there you go. Definitely 13-pound carp's huge. That's a big carp. That's a big carp. Yeah, I guess if you're fishing for alligator garter, you can use that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's big baits. I don't chunk them. I don't chunk them that big. So, oh, my lovely wife's in here. Palmetto cats, they're still waiting. Must be talking about that shirts. They must have gotten to the shirt. Tony, where the dish? Oh, they're talking about the dishes. Okay. What is a good reel for my Slimecat rod? Mr. Mello, are you a plant? A good reel for the Slimecat rod is the Slimecat reel. I'm telling you, they're sexy. You must have missed the first part of the show. I got these in today. These are the Slimecat reels. They're super sexy. Same color as the anodized aluminum. Get you some. Slimecat's got them over on the website. They're super sexy. Tell how you really feel, dear. Let's see what we got here. 83-degree water temp. 83 is pretty warm. It probably got up pretty warm today after everything that was going on. It was pretty hot. It's pretty muggy. Our overnight temperatures are not dropping that low, and that's when you really start to see the increase in everything. So let's see if we got any other ones in here. Sabiki rig in a diversion canal. Yes, Stephen, you're exactly right. That is a good place to catch them. Put a little bit of, maybe a little bit of threadfin shad or some little piece of herring on there, and you will be good. So what else we got? When's the last time you went bass fishing? Are you asking me? Who is that? Mario? I'm thinking. 12 years ago. Last bass I caught was probably, if you're asking me, then I don't know if you are, it's probably on a Carolina rig, black plastic worm, bumping it on the bottom. Dieter Melhorn fishing. Nice cup. My mouth's dry from talking too much. Scott says flatheads are good, belly meat is good. Can't kill a flathead. It'd be like killing my dog. Don't say anything, Tanya. Don't say anything. Let's see. Anything here? Are Slimecat rods and reels salt water worthy? Bill, I don't know. I've never used either of them in salt water, to be perfectly honest. Like anything I use in salt water, I wash them down after I get back. So I don't know. It's all, from what I can tell, it's all aluminum. So you may know better than I do as far as how that holds up. It does look like there's stainless steel on the level wind in these pieces. So trying to think, you know what, Pinky, Pinky's in there. I had to replace the pawl in it. Finally did have something go bad on it. The pawl went out. I've used Pinky saltwater fishing. I actually caught, I'm going to say they are, because Pinky is similar to these in that I think they're a similar build and all. And that one, I've used it in the saltwater, and it's held up fine. I actually caught king mackerel on that thing, which was way too big a fish for that reel. But yeah, they held up fine. So I don't see anything on them that's rusting or coming apart or corroding or anything. When are you going to fish the East Coast rivers in North Carolina? Swampy, when you take me. That's out of my wheelhouse as far as knowing what I'm doing. I've actually had some people that have reached out to me about fishing down there, and I think we're going to try to do that. I'd like to go. I probably wouldn't venture out on my own, simply because that's a different world, and just being able to get around and know where to go. I'd go with somebody. I think it would be really cool because I like those big rivers. Fishing the $10,000 first prize tournament up on the infamous Red River of the North Drayton Catfish Capital Challenge. No, I don't know. I'm not even familiar with that. $10,000 first place on the Red River. I assume it's going to be big channel cats if it's on the Red River. No, I'm not familiar with it. That would be cool. Send me some info about that. I assume that's probably a month away when they do that. They probably do it in July, I would guess. June, July, something like that. That's pretty cool, though. That's a lot of money. You ever fish in Kansas? No, I haven't. I've been to Kansas a few times, but I have never fished there. Fishing with Squirrel asks, is the drag as good as Pinky? It is. Oh, wait, on the Slimecat. I haven't tried it yet. The Slimecat reels, just got them. Bear reels, the one I just put on. The matter of fact, as soon as I get off here, I gotta go spool them up. We don't even have line on them yet, so I think what I'm gonna do is trying to think if I got an old reel over there I can take some line off to put a backing on and then load it up with some Andy. But I haven't tried them. I will let you know. Hopefully we hook into a fish that pulls a little bit, and we can get a little drag test on it. But yeah, I'll have some. I'll have you some info. Are you coming to Oklahoma anytime soon? Not anytime soon. My wife and I talked about going on some kind of road trip out there, fishing and checking some stuff out, but logistically there was so much stuff, especially with the COVID stuff going on, getting from different places, and then it was financially irresponsible to do that during this time period with my work pretty much being gone, so we kind of tapped out against it. Here's my promise. If I get to where I'm a YouTuber full-time, I will come to Kansas, I will come to Oklahoma, I'll go to Wisconsin, and I'll go to the dang Red River and fish. But until then, I got to be smart with it. So we'll see what happens. Or Lake Erie. No, I've never fished Lake Erie. Lake Erie is one place I would love to go fish just because of how big it is. It also seems like it'd be kind of scary, especially if it gets windy. But that is one that I actually had somebody reach out to me about going up there and fishing. Who knows? As this channel grows and I try to get bigger with it and it gets bigger and more traction, what I would love to be doing is going to some of these places and filming some people fishing. Not so much me fishing, but going there and kind of telling their stories. That's the dream. I'll let y'all in on kind of the dream, is doing some of that stuff. And, you know, some of these, it's probably you guys here in the chat is coming and filming you guys fishing and learning about where you're at. And there's so many little lakes and little rivers and little places and stuff that people fish. And I think it would be really cool to spend a day with somebody fishing and tell their story about where they fish, how they fish. And I'm not talking big fancy. I'm not talking guys that wear, you know, the fishing jerseys that fish tournaments, okay? I'm talking about just regular Joe, the dude that goes out and fishes off the bank at the local park or something. Because I think there'd be cool fishing stories there that a lot more people relate to than some guy in a fishing jersey that fishes catfish tournaments and what he does and all that. That's just me. That's what I would rather watch. I think those stories would be more relatable to the masses, I guess you would say. Nothing wrong with, seeing, the pro fishermen doing what they do. But I like the people stories, especially, everybody's got a story. And in my perfect world, if it ever gets to that, when I'm doing that kind of stories for you guys to watch, that's when I will have arrived and doing what I want to do. So we'll see. We'll see. Excel is going to start. Kevin East is asking, if you could upgrade your skiff, what would you get? Have you seen the profile boats that Excel is going to start making so sexy? No, I haven't. I've been trying to... What kind of boat would I get, first of all? I don't know. Here's the perfect world. I don't know. I don't know what I would get if I was swapping boats right now. The Stormcat looks like a good boat. I've been trying to get up with them to get out on one of them and try it out. The Sea Art, the new one, I think they call it the Dynasty or whatever. I've been wanting to get on one of those and shoot some stuff to see what it's about and tell the story of that boat. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know if any of those cat boats or what would be my dream boat, upgrade boat. Honestly, snap a switch, it falls in the driveway on a tandem axle trailer with LED lights. I've already got figured out. Would be a Lund. I love a Lund Grand Baron. It would eliminate some places I could fish, but I think that would be like super dream boat. Some of the bigger metal boats, North River, something like what Steve Douglas has. I like those boats. That would probably, those boats are not cat boats, but they are all weather, all condition boats that will keep you alive, will take rough water, and are just roomy to fish out of. So it would probably be something in that world. So that was a big old long answer for that question, wasn't it? What is your favorite brand of circle hooks? The ones I've been using are from Hooker's Terminal Tackle. They're backstabbers. They are very similar to the Gamakatsu Octopus circle hook that I used for years before that. And they're very similar gap. They've got the bent eye on them that I think makes stelling easier and a more perfect hook setup, perfect hookup. And I also have used owner hooks. They're the Hooker's Terminal Tackle backstabbers are very similar to the owner hook. A little shorter shank on it. And the biggest thing is the wide gap. I'm trying to see if I got one laying here. This one here is actually a Gamakatsu. I'll put it against my face. You can see the wide gap on it. Let's see if I got that red. I had a red Daiichi hook. I was shooting a bunch of stuff here. The Daiichi hooks, the gap, and what I mean by the gap, there where y'all can see it, is the distance between the shank and the tip. It's narrower, and I just like having the bigger gap on there, just in case you get into some of that lower stuff in the fish's mouth. Most of the time, boom, it's going to the corner of the mouth, and it's very narrow, fleshy tissue in there. But stuff falling in the floor. These are this is Fish King sent me these, a pack of them, and these look like the ones from Hooker's Terminal Tackle, if you can see those. Very similar shape, a little different on the point, the same type wide gap. So hopefully that answered your question. What is the best bait for channel cats? Chicken. I've done a lot of chicken videos. Chicken has surprised me. It's hard to beat bluegill for channel cats. They'll eat gizzard shad. Channel cats are not that picky. You can catch channel cats down at temperatures above 7 degrees with stink bait just fine. Once that water temperature gets above 7 degrees, channel cats will eat that stink bait up. If you can dealing with the smell and the stink, you can catch them on that. So I'm going to try to partner with somebody to do some stuff with some of their products and some stink bait stuff here once we get past the spawn, just to try that out for you guys that don't have access to catching, gizzard shad and bluegill and that kind of stuff. So that's offset my hooks. I don't use offset. You're more likely with an offset hook to throat hook a fish in case it goes into the bottom of its mouth. I just use inline. Here's my deal. I don't have to, if a fish gets away, it's not the end of the world for me. I know for some people, they feel they have to hook up with every fish that touches their bait. I am blessed that I get to fish a lot. I am blessed that I've caught some big fish in my life. And if I don't hook one, because I would just rather take the chance that circle hook does its job and catch it in the corner of the mouth than to throat hook it, pulling an offset hook through there. I like the inline hooks better. So, doodle doo doo. What's in here? Reading through here. It'd be great if I had a producer to do this. That's what my wife needs to be doing. I need to have an earpiece in. And what is the best way to catch bowfin? Go fish a catfish tournament on Santee Cooper and go fish shallow, and you will catch bowfin. I fished a couple of tournaments on Santee Cooper, and every time we were trying, I get in there pre-fishing, fun fishing, catch fish shallow, find them. If I go down there tournament fishing, I think one of them I was fishing with Chris Simpson. I don't know how many bowfin we caught. That's the best way to catch them. They're you have to have them first of all. They're indigenous to our river system, but they're hard to catch. They're very elusive. We've got some here on our lakes that will show up in usually shallower creek areas. When you get into the back of a creek arm, that is usually where we find them on most of our lakes and stuff around here. So often mistaken for snakeheads. So Sunny stink bait or Triple X is a great stink bait for channel catfish. Thanks, Mike. Word shout out to any people who make stink bait or anything like that. If you have a stink bait, pack bait, whatever you want to call it, that you would like for me to try in some of these videos, message me tomorrow after the show, whatever. I'd be glad to try that. I don't have anything that's really a preference or anything I'm going to be using, but would be glad to use some of those and some of these things that I'm going to be trying. So, best rods for the money in your opinion, Zach? For the money? Yeah, well, define for the money. Every one of these rods is about the same price. So, they're all pretty much the same. So, I don't know what they cost. 75, 85 bucks, somewhere in there. They're somewhere in there. 70, 80, I don't know what they cost. Those are all good rods. If you're trying to go on the cheap end, you can't beat getting a ugly stick catfish rod. Now, is it the same caliber as these? No, it's not. And I actually, when I went to the diversified rod spread, I had one of my old ugly sticks. I'm looking across the building over there, and I've got some in the corner. I put one in with these, and it's a lower level rod, plain and simple. It's a little bit shorter. The construction's way different. These are higher quality rod. Now, those rods have lasted forever. I think I may have broken one. I may have had one tip break on one. But I've got 12 or 18 of them. So they've stood the test of time. Real seats still work, even though they're plastic Fuji seats. So they work. But they're smaller. They're cheaper. You're not going to be able to chunk as big a weight as you will with these rods. So, my suggestion, I mean, if you got the money, if you can, those rods are 40 bucks. These are, probably 50% more. So if you got the money, pick one of these. Any of these are good. Any of them will work. I'm going to do a little profile on all of them maybe next week and just kind of show you some of the subtle differences in them. And they'll handle heavier current. They'll handle throwing heavier weights. And I think you'd be happy with any of them. So, if you have to go cheap, go with an ugly stick. You'll be fine with it. Probably the closest thing, if you're stuck to not wanting to pay, what gets you on here is the shipping. The closest thing to these and something that you would get in a big box store like an Academy or a Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's that might be near you is going to be an ugly stick tiger rod. Those are probably closer in quality to these. The biggest difference with those is they're typically shorter. So that's they'll probably be $20 cheaper than these. The big difference there is if I break something happens, I get something weird with an ugly stick. One just happens to have an eye blow apart on it. Okay, I had one of my pin rods, one of my boat rods from down the coast. I blew apart on it. Shouldn't have done it. No reason whatsoever. Okay, what can I do about it? Nothing. Okay, I'm not going to be able to get a hold of anybody at Penn, I feel sure. With these rods here, every one of these people's name is in my phone. Okay, I'm not on pro staff with anybody. Somebody had a problem with one of these rods the other day online. I don't know what the deal was. I sent a private message to the guy at the company and said, hey, so-and-so's looking for some help here. Boom, it was taken care of. So that's the nice thing about going with one of these brands of rods, is that in the catfish community, if you have an issue, you can get it resolved. If you want to get it resolved with them, they'll bend over backwards. It's such a small community. These people are a lot more accountable to, or they're held accountable a lot more because of our community in this fishing world, in this tight-knit community. So they know that if they screw up, there's a lot of people looking, and it's not like a major, big, conglomerate, or a rod company is part of a major conglomerate. These people pay a lot better attention. So my suggestion is, if it means waiting, get you one of these rods, a Big Cat Fever, a B&M, a Slimecat. Get you one of those. I think you'll be happier with it in the end than going with something cheaper just to get something cheaper. But listen, if that's all you got, let me say this too. Let me be perfectly clear about this. If you got a choice between not going fishing and buying a $39 ugly stick rod and going fishing, buy the ugly stick and go fishing. That's the most important thing. You ain't got to have all this. I'd much rather see you buy a cheap rod and a cheap reel and some cheap line and hook into a fish and it break off and you go, dang, I need something better, than to be sitting at home wishing you was fishing. Okay? Go fishing. Go fishing with whatever you got. Go get you the Walmart combo off the rack for $39 and go fish. That's the name of the game. If you can afford this stuff, get it. If not, go fish. That's the most important thing. So, anyway, where was I? That was a rant. Muddy River Catfishing, what's up? Muddy River makes a good rod. I'd love to show it to you, but I don't have one. Muddy River, I hope you're well. I got to slap your chops every time I talk to you. Love you. Y'all check out Muddy River's channel. He's been around forever, in a day, and he's still younger than I am. And yeah, he's got a good channel. He makes a couple rods. He's got some. He's got a flathead rod. He's got a blue one. See, the deal was I was going to get a rod. I was going to have a blue one here. I'd have red, white, and blue to match my red, white, and blue monster rod holders. And he's got a flathead rod. I don't know what color it is. I don't remember. I shot some stuff of it, but yeah. Everybody's already subscribed to his channel. I tell you to go subscribe to Muddy River Catfishing, but everybody's already subscribed to him because he's got one of those silver play buttons. That's what that space is right there on the wall, right there. That's going to be where the silver play button's going to be, right there. Right. It's going to have a little spotlight on it. It's going to be cool. I'll check back in 10 years. I'll have it up there, right up there. So anyway, where was I? So you choose ourselves so close to get the distance on the bank. I can fish on the bottom of the lake unless you give her a break. Dosky. That's a very good way to cast a long way, is using those big long cigar floats. That adds a very good aerodynamic presence to that thing when you go chunking it out there. Very smart. I wish I was wanting to do some bank fishing stuff, and it's just a matter of committing the time to do it. Because listen, anybody bank fishes, it's a commitment of time and effort to do it. One, just getting from the car to wherever you're fishing. A lot of these places you can't get to. The other thing's finding them, especially here where I live. So I commend you guys that bank fish. So what else we got in here? Yeah, the old style, Stephen Harris saying about the old style ugly stick tiger rods. Yeah, I've still got them. I still use them. I use them down saltwater fishing. They're shorter. I think they're 6'6" is what I've got, which is nice on a boat. I don't need a lot. I don't need any casting distance or anything like that. The action on the ugly stick tiger rod, it's got a big butt back end and then a nice flexible tip. It's actually a very, very good rod. So. What length do you like your poles? Stephen McCoy, I don't know if you're talking to me or not on that. 9 feet or bigger. I don't. You may be talking to somebody in the chat. everything 7'6" is like primo for me. I could go with 7 foot if these were 7 foot. 7'6" seems to be a good action though. I wish they were 7 foot because they fit underneath my Bimini top. You guys that bank fish though, obviously having a little longer rods, definitely a benefit when it comes to casting and getting distance out there. So anyway, wow. Guys, this has been a heck of a show. This has been an hour and a half. On longer than I planned to be. So I'm going to jump off of here. But I want to thank you. Check out the video in the morning on the map on reading a lake. I want to get your feedback on that. Probably YouTube will have my comments turned off on it too. So maybe the YouTube big brothers listening right now and we'll turn the comments on. But if it's not, I'm going to put something in the community tab here on the channel. And I want to get your feedback if you like that style of video on the breakdown of the lake. It's going to be different. It's, it's not a bunch of flashy, not a bunch of fish catching and all that. It's going to be something similar to what Mike Smedley, I don't know if y'all know his channel, Team Old School Fishing. He's a striper fisherman, but he does some great fishing videos. I suggest you go check out his channel. Even if you fish for catfish, Mike Smedley, Smedley. And just look up Team Old School Fishing. And he's got some very good, look up his latest one. I think it's called Sonar for Dummies. I'm going to steal the title and put a very similar thumbnail up and do it with catfish. Because it's a very good video. He does very good stuff. And I would go check his channel out. That stuff will translate to the catfish world if you fish for catfish. It will translate to a lot of different stuff. He's got a lot of good crossover information. So check that out. But I don't know why I got off on that tangent. I'm delirious. Where was I going? The video tomorrow. I'll put something in the comment section or in the community section, so that I can get some feedback from you guys, because I'd love to hear your take on that style video. If it helps you, gives you good information. And if so, I've had some people ask me about doing it I get messages from people and they'll say, hey, look at my lake and tell me where you'd fish. So it's hard to do that for everybody, but maybe with some of these videos, if you watch them, you can kind of get a pattern on what I look for, and maybe I'll hit a lake that you want to go fish on or you're thinking about fishing on, and it may or may not work. Fishing with Squirrel, Smedley, Smedley. That is him. So yeah, he's got a cool channel, striper fisherman, and good info. So listen to the wife, Mike. Go listen to the wife. Nod and remember. All you have to remember is the last 3 words that she said. Isn't that right, Tanya? Are you still listening? My wife. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'm out of here. Love you. Talk to you soon.